Well, it's going to be all Saratoga and all 3-year-olds on Horse Sense the next couple of weeks. Of course, the Alabama, the Grade 1 headliner this Saturday at the Spa. We'll dive into that race. And maybe we'll dive into some thoughts, not necessarily diving completely into the field of the Travers, but we're getting excited. We want to talk a little more about the best 3-year-old males in the country. We know who the best one is and probably the second, but how do they rank other than that? We will talk about that as well. Bailey Armour and I on Horse Sense.
Welcome back, and welcome if you're new to another episode of Horse Sense. As always, I'm Bailey Armour, joined alongside tea connoisseur Scott Shapiro, who just told me that he drinks like a gallon of decaf green tea every day, and I am still not quite over that fact. But regardless, it's a little
Not
bit
really a choice. It's just kind of the best of the options for what
product of the circumstances. I don't think I've ever had a decaf green tea, but I will say the
I went
Arizona green
decaf.
teas
I
are
was
where
all
it's at.
caffeine until a year ago. So yeah, it was one of the things I decided wasn't necessary anymore. So, but anyhow, tea connoisseur, bigger
Big
things than
decaf
that
guy
this
over
weekend.
here. Right, more important things than Scott's tea habits. It is Alabama week here up at Saratoga. I don't know why I said here. I'm definitely not there. I'm in Kentucky, but I will be heading to Emerald Downs tomorrow for the Long Acres Mile on Sunday. We here at HorseRacing and Xpressbet are the presenting sponsor of Long Acres Mile Day at Emerald. So we'll touch briefly on that in here in just a second. But the content of today's episode will be focused on the Alabama at Saratoga, like Scott mentioned. And then we're going to bring back that blind ranking segment we did a couple weeks ago. And this time talk about some 3-year-olds going into the Travers, maybe some probables. Who knows? Maybe they won't go. We'll see. And that's half the fun. But before we get into that, a quick rundown of our promotions this week, as you see scrolling along the bottom of your screen there. It is also King's Plate weekend at Woodbine this week. So we've got a $3,000 exactathon. That's coming back for all you fans, where if you hit 5 or more exactas on that King's Plate card, you'll win your share of $1,500 in bonus cash. And then the player or players who hits the most exactas on the card wins their share of an extra $1,500 in bonus cash. So go along with that. We've got 2 days of promotions at Emerald. Like I mentioned, it is Long Acres Mile weekend. That'll be $1 million.
You'll be there, right?
I will be there. You'll have some coverage on site from myself, yours truly. Make sure that you check that out on my socials here at _BetBailey on your platform of choice, and play in our 1,000,000 points late pick 4 hit and split at Emerald both days. And then, not to be outdone, it's also Gold Cup and Saucer Week at Red Shore Charlottetown, one of our fantastic partners. And they might just have the most animated track announcer in all of horse racing. So if you haven't ever seen any of Vance Cameron's calls, as the self-proclaimed president of the Vance Cameron fan club, I am highly encouraging you to go on YouTube and look those up. And you'll get to play in our 1,000,000 points late pick 4 hit and split there as well. Whew. Okay, now that we've got that out of the way, I'm going to hand it over to Scott to tell you all about our tournament stuff.
Yeah, maybe it'll be a little bit easier for you next week just because it'll be mostly on the Travers card, I assume. I don't do the promotions, but we are well spread out for a lot of fun over the weekend promotional-wise. And there's a lot of tournaments to get excited about. The big ones aren't necessarily this week, but up and coming, you got the Canterbury NHC qualifier, feeders for that currently running. Travers Day Challenge, same there. And then the Road to the Santa Anita Opening Week Challenge. So plenty of other things going on in terms of tournaments. So try to get in through feeders now. And as always, go to the tournaments tab or at the tournaments page on Xpressbet. Almost said on FirstBet and Daily Racing Form. I got too much in my head this week.
Need more
non-edited edit here. We will do that. We will say Xpressbet.com, the best site for tournaments, clearly. And showing that again. But Travers Day Challenge coming up next Saturday, Bailey. Well, this year's Alabama only drew a field of 6, but a very fascinating race, Bailey, for a couple of reasons. Obviously, because it's a grade 1 and they go 1.25 miles. Those things are true every year. But I think the presence of nitrogen really brings an extra bit of energy and an extra twist into this year's Alabama. Of course, a filly that has done almost all of her best work on the turf, but put forth a huge effort in the Wonder Again. It was just a 3-horse field, and the horse was supposed to roll, and she did, but it was just the way she did it for a turf horse that was pretty good, and she'd always trained well over it. So she had some intrigue. You've got Good Cheer, who won the Kentucky Oaks and all of her starts before it, but didn't run well in the Acorn when she was chasing Lacara, who's the other Mark Cassian here. And then you've got Margie's Intention, another Brad Cox runner, and a couple of outsiders. So the interesting thing about this race in terms of gambling is I think you've got a race that I knew you would be fascinated by because it's a turf sprint. The Skidmore, which is a school right in Saratoga Springs, right in the downtown area there, for those not familiar. Very good school, in fact. And this is a 2-year-old turf sprint, so we both can like this one a little bit. Schwarzenegger, who was a first-time starter for Wesley Ward, entered in this, but was also entered in the maiden special a couple hours after we're going to record this, and we were able to find out that he is, unless something goes wrong before the race, he is set to debut there. So he will come out, leaving this with a field of 7, where Sandal's Song will be a prohibitive favorite. But let's focus on the Alabama a little bit, and then we'll talk wagering for that daily double sequence, Bailey. You got 3 horses that are going to take almost all the money in here. Which of them do you like most?
Shockingly, and hold on to your hat here, the answer is none of them.
I
know, breaking news. I'm going to take a big flyer here. Swedish Philly. I really like the looks of Queen Azteca. She's coming off, of course, this is a Team Valor filly, which we know and we love Team Valor thanks to the founding of our very own Jeff Siegel way back in the day. So shout out to Jeff. We know
Captain
Budget very, very much. This is a filly that has been running over in Europe and then in Dubai at Maidan. She's run in Sweden. She's run in Norway before, and now Team Valor's bringing her over for this race. She's coming off of a 2nd place finish in the, I don't know if it's technically called the Jockey Club of Sweden. The name is kind of vaguely Swedish, the actual race. I think it's a Jockey Club of Sweden's Derby. That's what I'm going to call it, which was 1.5 miles. A lot of these fillies and mares here have never run at this 1.25 mile distance. And she's not only run that, but run even further. And her time in that race, there are only 3.5 mile races on the calendar in the US on the dirt here. Most of these 1.5 mile races we see on turf, by far and away.
1.25 miles. This is 1.25 miles.
Yes, but the 1.5 miles is what she ran in the Swedish race in her last finish on July 13th. That race,
yeah, I gotcha.
Yes. That race, her time in that race was only 4/100ths of a second off of next time in the Greenwood Cup at Parks, which is probably the most recent comparable race since we have the Belmont being cut back right now since it's being run at Saratoga. So the fact that she can run that race in that time and that caliber over there, I mean, I'm not concerned about her getting this distance at all, which is a bit of concern for me with some of these other fillies. Are you going to get short prices on Good Cheer, Nitrogen, Lacara, Margins, Intention, etc.? Sure. But especially with the way we've been talking about doubles and maybe not getting as favorable of a price in the race before, I'm going to go a cold one with Queen Azteca here. She's bred out
a cold top pick.
A cold top pick, thank you. She's bred out the wazoo. Her 3rd dam is My Flag, who of course is out of Personal Ensign, who has a stakes race named after her on next weekend's card. This family has an incredible pedigree. I have no idea how they picked her up for only $22,000 at the Keeneland sale. I'm all in on Queen Azteca.
You're going to get a good price. It'll make the wagering conversation we're about to have playing the double a lot easier. To me, this race is, I looked at it, and I really don't need to talk about I like Good Cheer, which is not a creative pick, but I think I want to talk just quick for those out there about the way the race looks on, maybe paper and how I think it'll play out. Lacara looks like she could be loose on the lead again, and we know she's the kind of filly that when she can get brave out there. When she's loose, doesn't really matter how fast she's going, to an extent, she can keep going. So the question usually with her is she going to get pressed? And on paper, Nitrogen's the one maybe likely to press her, and you're like, well, that's the other Mark Cassian. I don't know about that. Why would he do that? Then you've got Margie's Intention on the rail, and I don't think there's any way with Good Cheer in the race for Brad Cox. You've got, we saw good use of rabbits, which is very legal in this game, and I'm not saying Margie's Intention's a rabbit, but there is no way Irad Ortiz isn't going to come out running, right? I mean,
Sure.
why is this filly in the race unless she's going to try to get into the race? Trying to outkick her stablemate probably isn't the plan. Never know. She's red. She won the Black Eyed Susan, I think she's going to keep Lacar honest, and that's why I think maybe a little bit different than the pace projectors look. That's what I'm going to hope for. I think if that happens, Good Cheer will be very tough to beat off the freshening, but that's neither here nor there. Your creative opinion will make this conversation even more interesting, or different. How about the Skidmore, where it's your scene, the turf sprinters? You got a couple coming back from Ascot where one of them they were both about the same price out there. Tough Critic and Sandals Song. I watched that race back this morning. Sandals Song tried very hard in there. Any concern though that he might be regret? This might not be the spot, or those first two races might have taken a lot out of him.
I would say so, somewhat, especially when you're shipping horses over and then back, these young horses. I mean, I don't know anything particularly about this horse or his grooms or his connections or anything. He might be, the smartest, most talented, most mature 2-year-old that we've ever seen. But it does give me pause, especially seeing these horses ship around. I mean, racehorses are exposed to a lot of things, but that's a lot of travel for anybody to do, especially for a 2-year-old. So I'm going to take a little bit of a different avenue here.
Let me just say one more thing about it. He draws the rail now too with Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, with everybody moving over. So
yeah.
I did not like Schwarzenegger to begin with. So wish him the best of luck in his debut today as we film this on Thursday. But now that everybody's shifting in, I'm still going to look to the outside horses here. Bobrovsky, how do you say it? I don't know.
Bobrovsky, it looks like to me.
Bobrovsky, okay. The Dale Romans horse, who was pretty, loose on the lead here in both of his two starts against Junior Alvarado today. So no cons there for me. 6-1 on the morning line. And then on the far outside there, now moving in one spot from the 8 to the 7 post, is Spirit of New York for our very own Adam Rice that we love, who is hopefully going to return back to being a horse for course here at Saratoga. He won on debut in that 5.5 furlong maiden special weight on July 16th under Irad. Today on Saturday, he'll get Jose instead. But talked to him a little bit this morning, said he's been training really great, and I think that he absolutely has the talent to be in this field. So for me, my double will be the two of them, Bobrovsky and Spirit of New York, into Queen Azteca in the Alabama.
Yeah, and for those not familiar that have not missed, previous episodes, Billy was the foreman for Adam Rice for a Keeneland or something similar to that.
Summer.
Basically and that was for about a month at Keeneland, right?
Yeah, it was last summer.
Yeah. Oh, summer. Okay. Yeah. So she's familiar with him. That's why she reached out, and those are my two in here actually. So we'll
look at that.
Bobrovsky. The only thing I'll add on, Spirit of New York was really good last time. I know the New York bred factor, is going to keep him maybe, but when Jose rides for Adam, that's family too there. So usually a sign, and he was aboard the first time. Obviously, he's going to ride back now. But and then Bobrovsky, the Dam Hayflow, there's some real turf influence there. So while those two races were against the restricted maiden specials, races that you had to have sold for $50K or less, which they're lesser fields, you avoid the big price monsters, that don't always pan out, but usually some do. But this horse is, fast and has every reason to take to the turf. So it's kind of one of those deals where you're betting against Sandals Song running his best to an extent, because he obviously third by 3 legs in the Norfolk, which is the best 2-year-old turf race run so far, sprint in the world. So for me, it's very easy for you. The only question you have is if you want to weight it, if you like one of them more than the other, if you see the race Spirit of New York's a much shorter price, you might want to try to cash the same amount if it hits, so maybe you play whatever. Let's pretend you have $25 to play it. Maybe you want to play a $15 double, 8.5, and a $10 double, 7.5. If the price is, the Dale Romans horse might get bet. David Garagona, the best in the business doing this, but the 2-year-old races are as hard as it gets, and this Romans horse has gotten crushed at the windows in both starts. So good job here, though. I think that's something that, whether you're going to play it with $25, $200, or $5, I think you got something that is well worth your shot there. Even if the Swedish horse gets bet down, still going to be, the considerable fourth choice, Well, we just got talking about most of the best 3-year-old fillies in the country, the ones on dirt. They'll be running a mile and a quarter. Well, next Saturday is the Midsummer Derby, the biggest race of the summer. And we know it's going to be featuring the big dogs, Sovereignty, Bailey's. I mean, she's not really a chalker now. She came through with him when he wasn't a chalk in the Derby. So we got to give her all the credit in the world. He has turned out to be the goods. We know he'll be in there. The rest of the field a little murky. We've got a couple of probables included, and we're going to take a chance here. The goal, and I'm going to turn it over to Bailey to describe those like me before the last time we did it that had never taken part in the blind rankings. But I had fun. Bailey had fun as well. So we're going to roll it back. And the key here is we're each going to have, we're going to pick 4 horses off a list of what, 14 or 15?
15. We got 15.
15 potential 3-year-olds. It includes a few of the likelies for the Travers that are kind of the lower tier horses without a best resumes, and then most of the ones that you would expect. And the key here is if they were running tomorrow on Saturday, next Saturday, and they were all assumed to have the same amount of fine rest. So if they ran last week or a couple weeks ago, we won't want to hold that against them. Who is the likeliest of them to win the race? And we're going to have to try to rank them in order 1 through 4. Now, I'll turn it over to Bailey, who was the one that turned me on to this game. And it's popular amongst the kids these days. And tell us why.
Yeah, this is something that we picked up from some other sports podcasts. So maybe you out there have seen this done before. It's called Blind Rankings, kind of a game segment type of thing. If you missed the last time that we did it a couple weeks ago here on Horse Sense, we're going to run it back today. So how it works, we've got a list of 15 horses that we're calling, I don't want to call them like fantasy probables because some of them are actual probables for the race and then some pretty likely ones, but basically a group of 15 horses that could be targeting the Travers, that could show up.
Hold up. They could be theoretically, but they're not. A lot of them are not. But you just take that away. It's more like the fantasy was a good term because the fantasy part is we're pretending that they're all in good form heading into the race. We're not pretending they're back in May, but we're pretending that they're all ready to run on Saturday with equal footing.
Yes, as they are now. So thank you for that extra bit of context. And it makes more sense once you actually get rolling now that we've spent 28 minutes explaining the background of the segment. So we've got our list. We've got our blind rankings. So they'll come in one at a time. We won't know who's coming. And that's kind of the fun part, is to see what we can end up with. So we're going to pick 4 in order of their likelihood of winning the Travers, all other things considered equal.
So the funny part is, obviously, if you get Sovereignty, we're all going to pick them. We're both going to pick them for 1. But the funny part is when you get something you're not really sure about, putting them at 2 or 3, and then, that's where it gets funny and you kind of get stuck or potentially get stuck. So we'll have fun with it. We'll see if it's easy or tough. Sometimes I think it can play out easily, right? And then sometimes it's a lot more challenging. But let's turn it over to you to roll the randomizer so we can get to the fun instead of talking people's ears off.
All right, our first horse coming down the line is Baeza. First up is Baeza. Where are you going to put him?
I'm going to put him second because I just don't think he's done anything to prove he's a lock to win any race. So I'll be able to try to hopefully make a case. But those of you out there can immediately see where Baeza is pretty clearly the 3rd best 3-year-old. I could look foolish putting him second if Journalism and Sovereignty don't come, and I have to pick, a very mediocre horse to be above him. But I'll turn it over to you.
I'm going to put him 3rd just because I feel like that's a safe shot for now, but it also could be not safe because this is our very first one and we only have
I hate that move by you, but you're the veteran of the game and you won that.
I did win last time.
I hate that move by you. Let's see what we got. But you could cheat too, so
I would never cheat. Are you kidding me?
I have no control over the randomizer. For all I know, you planned this out.
No, this is true. This is the spirit of the game. It's true honesty. Okay. Baeza, 2nd for Scott, 3rd for me. Now we got Sovereignty. Okay. So we're good there. Sovereignty. It's not fixed. Shut up. Sovereignty.
Okay, you go first this time. I mean, this is obvious.
Yeah, this is an
I'm set up for success. I mean,
first place choice for me. Scott might come out better. I don't know. We'll see if journalism
Well,
comes
no,
in.
if yeah,
But
all right,
all
shady.
right, sovereignty in the top spot for you,
Yeah,
obviously.
yeah.
Sovereignty in the top spot for me. Only two choices left, and this is when the pressure actually gets put on. Okay, Burnham Square. Are you
See, this
going
is.
third or are you going fourth?
I am going. I'm trying to think. His last race was. I'm going fourth. I think he's ran his best races. I have a lot of respect for the horse, the connections, but I think he peaked. I wish they would have run him in the Preakness.
I agree. I think that he's probably a tough horse to manage. He trains really tough, and I think that just at the end of the day takes a lot out of him. I have second and fourth open, so I got to put him fourth and hope that doesn't.
All right, let's see. So now
Bite
this
me in
is
the
where
butt.
Bailey looks foolish if she throws a couple. I'll throw a couple funny ones out there that are not funny. I don't want to disrespect these horses, but if Hill Road or Bracket Buster or go ahead of Baeza, that's probably not what you were looking to do, right?
Moment of truth, crossing my fingers. Please do
All right, good
not
luck.
let Bracket Buster be the next one to show
One way
up.
or another, one of us loses because if it's journalism, I'm gonna look. I mean, I think I have a better chance of looking less foolish than you.
You'll be okay.
Yeah,
If it's journalism, we'll
yeah.
be
I
happy.
played
But
it better than you. Let's see what happens.
if it's McAfee, I'll also be upset. Okay. Centering moment of truth. Final click. Oh my God, it's strategic focus.
I mean, I actually really like mine. I really like mine, my order because I would take strategic focus over Burnham Square at Saratoga next Saturday to outrun him.
You did win.
Yours works out a little silly.
It is a little silly, but we have to be different, right? I mean, I can't just take everything you say at face value. So Scott's
Final
blind.
rankings. Bailey's going to announce the final rankings. This is where we have to just show our pride. So Bailey and I's final rankings for next week's Travers. 4 of the 15 horses picked. Bailey's got. Go ahead.
Sovereignty, strategic focus, Baeza, and Burnham Square. And you know what? I picked them. I'll stand by it.
And I have the Sovereignty, Baeza, Strategic Focus, Burnham Square as in that order as likeliest winners. I actually agree with the way I put it. If you gave me those 4 ahead of time, I would have put them that way, I think.
Oh, yeah. I mean, what a super that is. Hey, we'll see what happens. I mean, we don't even know if all of these horses are going to the race next Saturday because we're filming this the Thursday before. So we have some time, and who knows?
Well, we know that Baeza is not going and Burnham Square is not going, but for the fun of it, that's the activity. So,
but all, I mean, the ones that didn't get picked. But yes, we'll see. As always, thank you so much for watching another episode of Horse Sense. I'm Bailey Armour and was joined alongside our tea connoisseur, Scott Shapiro, talking about the Alabama, that daily double with, of course, my favorite, a turf sprint in the Skidmore just before. And then we brought back blind rankings this week to talk about some Travers likelihoods, some fantasy probables, and hopefully you enjoyed that segment because it's a lot of fun to do for us. We get a lot of laughs out of that one. Make sure that you are checking out all of the promotions that I mentioned at the beginning of today's videos on Xpressbet and FirstBet. Plenty of action this weekend for everybody, no matter if you're East Coast, West Coast, thoroughbred harness, we've kind of got you covered no matter what. And if you want picks for a lot of those races and sequences, make sure you check out all of the blogs being posted at news.first.com. After we wrap this up, I'm headed out to Emerald Downs to be on site for their Long Acres Mile, so make sure that you play that card as well. And we'll see you next time for Travers Week on Horse Sense.